use nuclear-capable missile into Pakistan. Now, in this particular case, that wasn't nuclear-armed. But Pakistan has a very small window for us to decide, looking at an image, that this missile coming towards us that is capable of holding nuclear weapons, is it or is it not loaded? And how do we respond? The terms that both countries have set for the escalation ladder between ourselves is 1+. So whatever attack one side does to the other responds by +1. In a circumstance where the threshold of conflict has been so drastically lowered that any indigenous act of terrorism also would mean war with Pakistan. In a circumstance where the escalation ladder has so significantly increased, and just within the space of 5 days, what we're concerned about is that next time round the escalation ladder won't start from 0, it'll start from where we left off. And there may not be time for the international community to intervene and encourage a ceasefire. Finally, the weaponization of water. Pakistan and India have fought generation after generation over the issue of Kashmir, the unfinished agenda of partition, the pending issue of the UN Security Council. More recently, we fought over the issue of terrorism. Preceding this conflict, the Indian government announced that it was illegally violating the Indus Water Treaty and threatened to cut off the water supply for 240 million Pakistanis. Just the mere threat to cut off Pakistan's water is a violation of the UN Charter. This is our only source of water for our people to drink, for our agriculture and our agricultural economy to rely on. A threat to our water supply is an existential threat to Pakistan. It is a matter of our survival. It would provoke Pakistan, acting on this threat, would provoke Pakistan. We would consider it an act of war and have no choice. It is the absolute last thing we needed in the Himalayan region, which we refer to as the third pole. It's the largest collection of snow and ice anywhere in the world. This is the region where we should regionally be cooperating. Internationally, we're cooperating to meet the challenge of climate change. Instead, we've set up a fault line and damned future generations of Pakistani and Indians to not only fight over Kashmir, to not only fight over terrorism, but now to, in perpetuity, to fight over water. Laid the foundations for the first water war between two nuclear-armed powers. It is in this context that Pakistan seeks your assistance. We're particularly pleased to be here in the European Union because, of course, the European Union is a consistent advocate, the last line of defense for the rules-based order, for international law, a strong advocate for climate, for access to water, and you've witnessed war on your continent. We set up this international rules-based order to ensure that future generations we save from the scourge of war. Pakistan believes we need a comprehensive dialogue with India, one in which we can talk about the root causes, be it the root cause of Kashmir, be it the root cause of terrorism, and one where we can address the issue of water. India has said no, no, no every step of the way. Following the terrorist attack in Indian-occupied Kashmir, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, publicly offered that Pakistan would be willing to be part of an international, impartial investigation into this terrorist attack. The Indians said no. Pakistan has always called for the United Nations, the UN Security Council, and that institution to be used to resolve our disputes, particularly Kashmir, which is on the agenda. It was taken to the United Nations by the Indian government. The Indians say no. Pakistan and the United States have spoken about mediation. The Indians say no. Pakistan has talked about bilateral comprehensive dialogue. The Indians say no. If we are to live in a world where we have reduced the threshold for conflict as drastically as we have, where we've increased the pace at which we rise on the escalation ladder in the manner that we have had, and if we are to be the only two nuclear states without any dispute resolution mechanism, the last dispute resolution mechanism we had is the Indus Water Treaty, and India says no to that too. I put it to you, it is not in the interest of the people of Pakistan, and indeed it is not in the interest of India, and it is not in the interest of the international community for us to maintain this status quo. There is a moral obligation for all international players to play their part, to encourage both sides to engage in a dialogue, to advance diplomacy. Diplomacy in the pursuit of peace should not be partisan. It should not be a partisan issue. The weaponization of water should not be a partisan issue. Peace cannot be a partisan issue. I look forward to answering all your questions. If you have a specific question for any member of my delegation, please refer to them. Otherwise, I'd be happy to respond. Thank you.
For a comprehensive briefing. Now I would request my media fraternity if they have any question, but please I would request that raise your hand and ask one by one so that the delegation and the Excellency could respond to that. Who want to?
Yeah,
Mr. Frank.
Sir.
Please give the mic to
Frank. I think I can hear you.
My name is Frank 𝗕𝗵𝘂𝘁𝗁. I'm from Germany, and I'm one of the founders of the German Green Party, the first Green MP and the first Green member of the European Parliament. When I had less white hair, I had the honor to meet your mother already. Now it's grey, and I meet you. And Kashmir plays a certain role in my life. Because by accident, Kashmiris contacted me when they opened the Kashmir office in Brussels. I come to my question, in a moment. It will be on India. And they said, Frank, you have such an experience and you're so nice. Please help us in Brussels. And for 8 years, I was special advisor to the Kashmir Center here in Brussels. We succeeded the question of mass graves, identification of dead people. We sent a delegation of members of parliament to Srinagar and to Muzaffarabad, resulting in a report from the most beautiful prison in the world.
Was this the delegation that the Indians didn't allow to enter?
No, they allowed. And we succeeded in Geneva when there was the human rights review process to have 182, I think it was, recommendations about China, what India should do better. This every 4-year report. And in this case, at that moment, I met Musharraf in your country. And I provoked him. I said, come on, no one understands you here in Brussels. Because even the king of Samoa was here, but never a president of Pakistan. He looked around and said, oh, yes, oh, apologies, it's true. And half a year later, he came. And we succeeded that in the European Parliament, nearly no one speaks of India as the largest democracy in the world. But we laid the ground that it is said India, the largest structural democracy, where the reality might be different. My question, after Trump, the EU looks all around the world for new friends, for new treaties with other parts of the world. One of the consequences is that we are flirting much more intensive with India. Therefore, my question, what do you think this means for Pakistan and for Kashmir, that the European Union, you say, you are wonderful, you're the last hope in a lot of fields. What does it mean for the conflict and for you? And then to make it difficult for you, because a lot of people here in Europe thought Polisario, you know, the conflict, the territory south of Morocco, where the European Union was always saying it's not Morocco territory. And Spain, now France, have recognized the authority of Morocco over the Polidari territory. That means it is possible, if geopolitical reasons might force the EU to be more flirting with India, to change their attitude as well. And a last compliment to your staff and your embassy. I was here when the Iraqi Foreign Affairs Minister was here. He came with 3 journalists, I came with 2 assistants, and that was all. And this is a Saturday, and nevertheless, the room is full, therefore congratulations for your staff here in Brussels. But the question now, apologies for my long intervention, is what does it mean, the flirting European Union for India? Thank you.
I'd first like to say thank you for your question. Pakistan is confident in our relationship with the European Union, and we're absolutely not jealous for your flirting that is ongoing with India and others. Is absolutely right. In fact, we're counting on this engagement. We're counting on yours and other Western countries' close ties to India to be able to speak to them as a friend and explain to them that the corner in which they're painting not only their own country, but their entire region is not a tenable situation. It does not leave the citizens of India any more safe. It does not leave certainly the citizens of Pakistan any more safe, or the people of the international community. It's all the more important that the European Union and other countries engage, speak to India as a friend, and convince them that this is the only path forward. As far as the engagement that you've had with India, the economic engagement that you're looking to have in the region. There's, for example, even we just came from the UK. They've signed a trade deal with the Indian government. Pakistan has, like we have GSP Plus with Europe. There's also an arrangement that we have for trade with the United Kingdom. The US is currently in trade talks both with India and Pakistan. So if we just look at it from the economic angle and your economic interest in an increasingly unpredictable economic climate, no matter how fantastic these trade deals will be, no matter how big and beautiful they may end up being bilaterally between the EU and India, the US and India, the UK and India, they'll only manage to achieve their full potential under 2 circumstances. One, if we have peace between India and Pakistan, so that we can restore trade between India and Pakistan that doesn't exist today, and we can restore transit trade, which was suspended as a result of this conflict. Otherwise, as fantastic as your economic negotiations may be with them, you may have come up with a great, fantastic economic opportunity for yourselves in India. It won't reach its true potential if we're not trading with one another. Secondly, if we don't have peace, and the threshold for conflict is so very low that at the drop of the hat we go to war, a war that can turn into a nuclear war. I put it to you, but what does it mean for the potential investments in India? What does it mean for the confidence of European and Western countries that are looking to invest in this part of the world and vice versa? So for your own self-interests, for your own economic interests, it makes sense for India and Pakistan to achieve peace. Next question.
Thank you. For the next question, Alberto, please.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. My name is Alberto 𝗕𝗏𝗄, Project Director of Diplomatic World. Thank you very much for this comprehensive briefing. 2 short questions. First, you've been in Brussels for a few days engaging with high-level counterparts. What role do you envisage the European Union to play to mediate for lasting and sustainable peace in the region? You mentioned their role in achieving the ceasefire, but looking ahead, what role do you expect or do you envisage the EU can play? And the second, when you mentioned the need for a comprehensive dialogue with India, does your preference go for a bilateral dialogue or with third-party mediation? Thank you very much.
Thank you. As far as our engagements here in Brussels, they've all been very positive. I'm very happy to report that no matter where we've been, the Pakistan's, whether it's the United States, whether it's the United Kingdom, and whether it's here in Europe, when Pakistan says we seek dialogue and diplomacy in the pursuit of peace, no one disagrees. When Pakistan says that we want a comprehensive dialogue to resolve all our issues, everybody's pretty keen on that. And when Pakistan says that we don't want the weaponization of water to be a new precedent, everybody agrees as well. How will you assist us in achieving those aims? I think everybody can play their role diplomatically, engage diplomatically with both sides to try and encourage that conversation. As far as the dialogue between India and Pakistan, mediation was offered during this conflict. It's certainly something that we'd be willing to discuss on who would be the best mediate, etc. Mediation is necessary. What was at least what I want to emphasize is, as part of the ceasefire, our military assesses that we were at a point in the conflict where Pakistan had the military upper hand. And it was in that climate that we agreed to the ceasefire, with the understanding that there would be a conversation, to quote the Secretary of State's statement, on all friction points at a neutral location. So we believe it's incredibly important for us to achieve that aim. We understand that the Indian government's reaction has been less than positive about these developments. So we saw how quickly they moved away from using the term ceasefire, starting to use the term pause, how they've continued in escalatory and warmongering rhetoric. Their defense minister says that this was a trailer, the movie is yet to come. Their prime minister said that he has a special message to the youth of Pakistan, that eat bread or eat my bullet. Their foreign minister was here in Brussels, where they called my entire country terroristan, which means they do not distinguish between a terrorist and a civilian. In that climate, and I believe that Europe knows all too well, with the demonization of entire populations, the dehumanizations of entire communities, the escalatory rhetoric has meant in the past, and what is meant for you in the present. In that context, dialogue is important. Mediation, I think, would be the most productive, but bilaterally through a comprehensive dialogue that's not focused on any one, but all issues, we will certainly make more progress than we will by firing missiles and shooting each other's planes.
Thank you, sir. 𝗕𝗵𝘂𝘁𝗁𝗍. After him.
Answer. Trilateral or bilateral?
He never said trilateral or bilateral. In fact, he asked for mediation or a bilateral dialogue, and I've answered that. Thank you.
Can you let me? Sir, welcome to Brussels. I'm Mohammed Nasser, Brussels City Police Advisor.
Okay.
We have some special police officers who they keep eyes on. Their job is just to keep eye on South Asia.
Sure.
And of course, especially right now on the conflict between India and Pakistan. Well, we discussed with each other, and my officer's friend, they said, your army is doing well, but this person, Mr. Bilawal, is doing even better at the diplomatic front. He is the right person at the right time to convey the message of Pakistan to the rest of the world. Therefore, I ask my colleagues, friends, please clapping for us.
That's very kind of you, but question.
The question is, the day before yesterday,
I can hear you, it's all right.
Did you get me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but what's the question?
Yeah, okay. So, day before yesterday, our defense minister, Khwaja Asif, was telling to Khamenei that if ever Israel attack on Iran, we will stand with Iran. And yesterday, Israel attack on Iran. So where we are standing?
Okay, thank you. It's very kind of you for your nice, lovely words. I believe that the leadership in Pakistan, that of the Prime Minister, the President, and the armed forces, have conducted themselves outstandingly throughout this process. As far as this mission that the Prime Minister sent us on, as you can see, I have the most capable team in the history of Pakistani diplomacy. I don't think ever this many foreign ministers and foreign secretaries have gathered at the same place. And ultimately, the case that we are advocating for is one of truth, is one of justice, is one of peace. So it has been particularly encouraging, the reception we've had to that message. Your question about Israel strikes on Iran, absolutely. Look, Pakistan's border is with, on the one side with Afghanistan, we suffered Afghan 1 blowback, now we're suffering Afghan 2 blowback, that at the moment is confined for us, but heaven forbid that it affects other countries. The other border where we almost we were engaged in a full-blown conflict that could have led to a nuclear war is India. Then the other country is Iran. We certainly don't want war on this border. Pakistan has condemned the strikes that took place over the last couple of days at our neighboring country. And we will continue to advocate for peace on all our borders, be it with Afghanistan, be it with Iran, be it with India. We absolutely cannot afford this conflict to turn into Iraq 2.0 or World War III. And it has become far too easy for this to be having a war every month. What is wrong with this generation? You were supposed to protect us from the scourge of war through dialogue and diplomacy, and it has become the default setting. Whenever there's a conflict, whenever there's a dispute, to launch into full-scale war. And it is far easier for older generations to make these decisions, to start these conflicts. But it's my generation that's going to have to pick up the pieces. I absolutely call on the international community to play their role to immediately impose a ceasefire in this Iranian conflict with the occupying forces in Palestine. We cannot have perpetual war. It serves none of our interests. Finally, you're working in the police over here. But I want to speak to you in that context. That Pakistan and Europe, Pakistan and the UK, Pakistan and the United States, we have cooperation on counterterrorism. We have coordination on counterterrorism. We have intelligence sharing to deal with counterterrorism, and we've done this from before also, but particularly 2001 onwards. That relationship, that CT cooperation has become so effective that on both sides we've managed to work together to thwart terrorist attacks. Terrorism knows no borders, it knows no race, it knows no religion. It is a menace for all of us, but we've managed to cooperate. And based on intelligence sharing, thwart terrorist attacks in the United States, thwart terrorist attacks in Europe, and thwart terrorist attacks in Pakistan. Would you believe there's no coordination, no cooperation between India and Pakistan on combating terrorism? 2012 was the last time we had a comprehensive dialogue in which there was some cooperation on CT. 2019, there was a last attack which led to planes in the sky. Between that date and this date, we've had no conversation. I ask you as an expert, someone who deals with terrorism, is this a viable situation? Or will we be able to more effectively combat terror if India and Pakistan sat together and coordinated, conducted intelligence sharing? We would be able to develop, just as the United States general said before their Houses of Parliament or their Congress 2 days ago, 3 days ago now, that we have a phenomenal partnership with Pakistan on counterterrorism. We can develop that phenomenal partnership with India as well.
Thank you, sir. Sir, if you want to add, the Foreign Minister of Belgium publicly admit that and appreciate and thanks to the government of Pakistan the fighting against terrorism.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your answer. Thank you.
Bhatt
Yeah, I am Abdullatif Bhatt, founder of the Kashmir Watch Media Initiative.
Founder of the Kashmir kya?
Kashmir Watch is a blog.
Kashmir Watch.
On behalf of the Kashmiri people, I appreciate your efforts in raising the issue of Kashmir from London, from Washington to London, and now in Europe. Given the ongoing repression and media blackout in Indian administered Kashmir since August 2019, what concrete diplomatic or multilateral steps will your party or Pakistan's next foreign policy leadership take to revive global attention, especially in Europe? And during your Brussels visit, did you engage with the European human rights or civil society groups concerned with the freedom of expression and digital repression in Kashmir? Thank you.
First of all, thank you for your question. Thank you for your work, for drawing the international community's plight drawing the international community's attention to the plight of the people in Kashmir. We believe that as a result of this conflict, every crisis has produced an opportunity. And in this crisis, the opportunity has been that we've been able to highlight the importance of resolving the issue of Kashmir. We've shattered the myth of the Indian government that Kashmir is an internal issue. The Kashmiri cause is internationalized. The President of the United States, just a couple of days ago, continued to advocate for mediation to resolve the Kashmir conflict. At the very least, India has changed their position from this being an internal issue of India to a bilateral issue between India and Pakistan. So that is immense progress as far as the Kashmir cause is concerned. We want to see the resolution of this cause for two reasons. One is our historic position, that it is our promise of the international community, of the people of India, the people of Pakistan, to the people of Kashmir, that they have the right to the self-determination under the UN Security Council resolutions, and we continue to advocate that point. But particularly post-2019, the Indian government's increased suppression and oppression within Indian-occupied Kashmir is creating a situation where the local population is getting alienated, is getting frustrated, is getting repressed, so much so that it creates such an environment that then the local population becomes easy prey for terrorist organizations who will use them, exploit them as cannon fodder for their nefarious designs. And now, particularly because Pakistan is to be held responsible even for the actions of indigenous terrorism, it's all the more important that we sit and discuss, resolve the issue of Kashmir. Even if you, obviously Pakistan has a broader agenda, but above and beyond that, or if the Kashmir has a broader agenda, even if your narrow view is that of terrorism, you can no longer ignore the issue of Kashmir.
Can I just
please open the mic.
I will just add here that Pakistan condemns and expects the international community to condemn India's new tactics after the April 22 attack, which first time we have seen demolition of houses for Kashmiris in very large numbers, and we have seen deportation of citizens from Kashmir, mostly women who have been there for decades. They were married in occupied Kashmir. So these are tactics that probably India is learning from its new ally, Israel, which has done the same in its occupied lands of destroying houses and forcing deportations. So our challenge is as great as before, is to continue raising the voice of our Kashmiri brothers and sisters in occupied Kashmir. And now this episode that we have had between India and Pakistan has raised the Kashmir issue to a fresh international attention, and of course Pakistan will continue to raise its voice for Kashmiri people.
Our colleague Mekulas from Hungarian Press.
My name is Vladimir Rogovets. I am from Belarus, Belarusian journalist. My question will be more pacific than question of my colleagues.
Sure.
I would like to speak about partnership between Pakistan and Belarus. Last April, your Prime Minister was in Belarus, and he agreed with President Lukashenko one project of 150,000 specialists Pakistani to Belarus. With family, it will be around the 500,000 specialists Pakistani. My question, your opinion about this prospects of this project? And second question, for big country, Pakistan with 250 million population, this project is very little, but for my country, it's very big project. and it will be big challenge. It will be interesting challenge, and maybe it will be danger challenge. I would like your opinion.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to state how encouraged we are by the positive ties between Pakistan and Belarus. We have economic cooperation that extends across many sectors, including agriculture, tech, and a whole host of other things. The issue that you bring up is also quite encouraging. We need to complement each other. Pakistan has different demographics, and Europe has different demographics. 65% of the population in Pakistan is under the age of 35. And the European demographics are a little bit on its head. You require young, skilled individuals to come here and service the needs of your economies. And we have to do this in a regulated, legal manner to fight the menace of illegal migration. So I believe exactly these programs where we coordinate, where we conduct ourselves through the legal framework, we find spaces where each other's economies can complement each other, that has the most potential for growth. What we're seeing is a demographic challenges in many parts of the world. We see it in the West, we even see it in the East, and Pakistan sees itself going forward as being able to export our human capital in order to meet the demand challenges that many countries with demographic challenges are facing. I hope that answers your question.
Andre, you want to?
Thanks.
Who will want to?
Good morning, sir. Hadi Sayed, Communications Intern at Kashmir Council EU. This visit has strengthened Pakistan's image and helped raise the Kashmir issue. As future engagement, especially in Europe, would benefit from direct representation from Azad Jammu and Kashmir, what steps is your office taking to involve them more in diplomatic issues?
Thank you so much. We've been engaged consistently, in general, with the government in Azad Kashmir. When I was foreign minister, they'd be represented at various forums, including the OIC, etc. As far as this delegation is concerned, obviously we are representing the government of Pakistan. But absolutely, as we go forward, there'll be parliamentary delegations and other delegations. We will seek the support of the people of Azad Kashmir, the government, maybe not the government, but the parliamentary representatives in Azad Kashmir to come and speak for themselves about the plight and the difficulties that they are facing.
Yeah.
Kashmiri descent from Pakistani side, so one member is sitting right here, but from Azad Kashmir, that'll have to be going forward.
Mr. Imran from Bold Channel.
Imran Beg from Bold Channel. My question is, how do you encounter Indians delegations already visited in the EU? My main responses and result.
Yeah? The Indian delegation has been also traveling the world, just as their war was based on disinformation and misinformation. Their diplomatic initiative has been based on disinformation and misinformation. They went to New York and tried to claim that Pakistan was a terrorist state. The United Nations, within the United Nations, Pakistan was immediately elected to head the committees responsible for looking at terrorism. They went to DC, adamant to convince America that they don't need mediation, they don't need dialogue, and again, Pakistan is an exporter or a perpetrator of terrorism. They were told then publicly recently by the president that Kashmir in India needs mediation. The State Department has mentioned mediation, and the Army of the United States says we're a phenomenal partner in terrorism. They've then come to the United Kingdom and the EU. They've set quite a high standard. If you recall, the Foreign Minister, the External Affairs Minister of India got very, very angry when a certain other country dared to show the humanity of condoling with the civilian loss of lives on the Pakistani side. They used their economic clout to bully some countries to retract their statements condoling or condemning the deaths of the innocent civilians in Pakistan. But when they stand here with the EU Commissioner at the Foreign Minister level, and their Foreign Minister says that all of Pakistan is Terroristan, and then the EU Commissioner standing next to them continues to condole the loss of life on both sides, mentions the importance of international law, I believe that the Indian government or the Indian government's delegation and their foreign policy, not because of any particular weakness of their diplomatic corps or their foreign policy, but because of the weakness in their message. They're pushing a lie. They're pushing disinformation. They haven't been honest. They haven't been honest with their own people. They haven't been honest with their allies. They can't be honest about the planes that we shot down. They still to this day will not tell us who were the terrorists that were involved in the attack in Indian-occupied Kashmir. Surely one of the largest countries in the world with one of the most ambitious intelligence agencies in the world could at least identify these individuals who, according to them, crossed over from an international border, penetrated one of the most militarized borders in the world, and got so deep into their territory and conducted this massacre. They haven't been able to name them because that too, for whatever reason. And they've been unable to name a single terrorist that they supposedly targeted in these targeted operations within Pakistan. We can point to the civilian infrastructure, the schools, the dams that they attacked. We can show you the graves of the innocent civilians that they killed. But they cannot name one terrorist, either one that conducted the attack on their side or one that they targeted within Pakistan. If your campaign is going to be based on disinformation, if you're not going to be transparent, if you're not going to face credibility, then you will get the response that the US delegation has been, that the Indian delegation has been receiving internationally. If anyone has any climate-related questions, I have two very able climate experts on my left and right that I'm sure would be...
Sir, if you permit, our correspondent from ARY, Nadeem Bhatt, wants to ask a question.
उर्दू में ही कर ले.
ठीक. जनाब चेयरमैन, आपकी क़यादत में पाकिस्तानी पार्लिमानी वफ़द इस वक्त ब्रसल्स में है. यूरोपीय यूनियन के साथ पाकिस्तान के ताल्लुकात हमेशा से अहम रहे हैं, ख़ास तौर पर जब बात दहशतगर्दी के ख़िलाफ़ पाकिस्तान की कुर्बानियों की हो. क्या आप समझते हैं कि यूरोपीय यूनियन को इन कुर्बानियों का मुनासिब जो है इदराक है, और क्या आप इस दौरे के दौरान मसला कश्मीर और गज़ा में जारी इंसानी हकूक़ की खिलाफ वर्जियाँ और ख़ित्ते में अमन और इस्तेहकाम के हवाले से कोई मस्बत पेशरफ्त हुई है? आप इस दौरे को पाकिस्तान के सफारती महाज पर किस नज़र से देखते हैं? थैंक यू वेरी मच.
जहाँ तक पाकिस्तान की कुर्बानियों की बात है, मैं समझता हूँ कि बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हम बार बार याद दिलवाएं. He's asking me, does the international community appreciate the sacrifice that Pakistan has given in this war on terror? So in my own answer, I'm emphasizing the importance of continuing to remind the international community that Pakistan was and still is the frontline state in the fight against terrorism. We have so far lost 92,000 lives in this fight. Still to this day, the single largest number of terrorist attacks anywhere in the world are in Pakistan. The single largest number of victims to terrorism anywhere in the world are in Pakistan. The terrorism that we face all over the world is a direct byproduct of the first Afghan war. After the second Afghan war, Pakistan has seen an exponential increase in the number of terrorist attacks on our soil. Currently, it is the bloodiest year in Pakistan's history when it comes to terrorism. It is not a question of do we want appreciation for sacrifice. We want cooperation, coordination to deal with these terrorists. Just because the international community up and left, it doesn't mean the issue of terrorism has ceased to exist in the region. We used to have all of NATO in our region fighting this menace. Now Pakistan stands alone. And we're being blamed for the actions of terrorist organizations. So it's very important that we're here to engage the international community to continue our coordination and cooperation on this front. जहाँ तक गज़ा का, फ़लस्तीन का, ये सारे इश्यूज़ की बात है, ये हम मुसलसल उठाते रहे हैं, ख़ास तौर पे जहाँ यूनाइटेड नेशंस पे हमारा अपना मीटिंग में जो कि बुलाया गया था कश्मीर के हवाले से, उस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में भी हमने एनी अदर एजेंडा आइटम के सूरत के नुक्ते में फ़लस्तीन का एम्बेसडर मौजूद था, उसने भी अपना बात की और हम सब ने उसका एंडोर्स किया। और हाल ही में जो ईरान और इसराइल के दरमियान जो जंग छेड़ा गया है, उस पे भी पूरा डेलीगेशन ने कल भी मज़ाहमत किया है, आज भी हम मज़ाहमत कर रहे हैं।
Sorry, with the permission of the chair. The delegation also enlightened, the UN members and the US congressmen, senators, even in UK and here, that India has been acting like a rogue state. What they are doing in Kashmir, what they are doing to the Muslims, what they tried to do with the Muslims of Pakistan, and apart from that, my Sikh fellows sitting here. India has been on a transnational killing spree. They targeted one Sikh leader in Canada, attempted on another one in USA, and tried in Australia, as well as they have targeted many Pakistanis on Pakistani soil. So they have been acting like a rogue state, and the world must notice that, and I believe that world has noticed that.
We will have a last question from Hafiz Unib.
Unib Rashid, contributing for Jang and Geo from here. My question is, I'm in 60s, a born Pakistani, but in this context, I want to know from a young leader from Pakistan, India doesn't accept any mediation, and its approach to resolving issues is unilateral. Do you see a solution to the Kashmir issue in such a situation?
I believe that the people of India want peace. I believe that the decisions of the Indian government have left the Indian population less secure, not more secure. In that context, absolutely, India is sustaining and maintaining the policy of unilateralism, but I don't believe that policy can last. Ultimately, they will have to come talk to Pakistan. They can't wish us away. We will forever be their neighbor. We have joint challenges. The issue of climate change for the rest of the world is a different matter. For the people of the subcontinent, for India and Pakistan, this is the challenge of our generation. We will be unable to fight this menace alone. As you may be aware, Pakistan has already been declared the most climate-stressed country by Greenwatch this year. We were anyway amongst the 10 most climate-stressed countries, 10 most water-stressed countries. We're going to deal, just like the entire international community is rightly concerned about the melting of snow and ice in the poles. India and Pakistan need to be just as animated about the imminent melting of the largest collections of snow and ice, and anywhere else outside of the South and North Pole is in the Himalayan region. We have to deal with what are we going to do? How are we going to save future generations for the consequences of this crisis? There's so many other issues. If we're going to continue to be unilateral about it, you can't unilaterally tackle climate change. You can't unilaterally threaten the water supply of an entire population and expect that to be a position you can sustain. India will have to come and talk. It's better that they come and talk sooner, rather than allowing these issues to fester, to create more problems for the both of us, and then for us to come and talk when it's too little, too late. To the climate minister.
Look, I think to its own peril, what India has done is taken the right of all lower riparian countries of the world to have access to water. It's not just about Pakistan and India anymore. India has set a new rule that people who are living in the lower riparian, they don't have right to water. But we are not the only country which is lower riparian. First of all, India herself is a lower riparian country to another country. What if they choke them of their water? What about the rest of the world? What about the African countries? What about the Latin American countries? What about the European countries? Does now every upper riparian country has a right to choke the lower riparian countries of their food security, of their drinking water? So India herself has internationalized this issue. So now this issue is no more Indian and Pakistani. Now is the issue of 70% of the countries of the world which are lower riparian. And they will all have to rise, because if this precedent is set once for all, it doesn't just apply to Pakistan. Pakistan and India have a treaty. Most of the lower riparian countries have no treaties. So in the absence of that treaty, with this new rule that India, unilateral rule that India is setting, what is going to happen to the rest of the world? Not just us. So the entire world shall rise now. India herself, through its arrogance, through its hubris, has internationalized this issue.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Excellency.
It's been a pleasure engaging with all of you.
Thank you, Excellency. With your permission, we are going to conclude it. And thank you, everyone, our media people from international.
बिलावल भुट्टो जरदारी यूरोपियन प्रेस क्लब ब्रसेल्स में प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस कर रहे थे. उन्होंने कहा कि कश्मीर समेत तस्फिया तलब मसाइल का हल मुज़ाकरात और सिफारतकारी से ही मुमकिन है. पाकिस्तान अमन का ख्वाह है. पाक भारत कशीदगी के बाद वज़ीर आज़म ने वफ़द तश्कील दिया.
और अब जियो हेडलाइंस.
जियो हेडलाइन न्यूज के लिए ताउन किया है
बेल इन्वर्टर, सेविंग्स का स्मार्ट सॉल्यूशन.
على تل أبيب.
Come on, everyone move.
इसराइली हमले के जवाब में ईरान का ऑपरेशन वादा सादिक सोम जारी. इसराइल पर बैलिस्टिक मिसाइलों की बरसात कर दी. एयर बेसेस और जौहरी तहकीकाती मरकज को निशाना बनाया. 5 मरहलों में किए गए हमलों के पहले 3 स्पेल में कम से कम 200 मिसाइल फायर किए गए. तल अबीब, मकबूजा बैतुल मकदस और दीगर इलाकों में सायरन. तल अबीब में 7 मकामात को निशाना बनाया गया. 9 इमारतें मुकम्मल तबाह. सैकड़ों अपार्टमेंट्स को नुकसान पहुंचा. शेफला के इलाके में ईरानी मिसाइल हमले से बड़े पैमाने पर तबाही. ईरान का हमलों के लिए इस्तेमाल होने वाले इसराइल के 3 एयर बेसेस और तल अबीब में इसराइल फौजी हेडक्वार्टर को भी निशाना बनाने का दावा. इसराइली वजारत दिफा के हेडक्वार्टर्स के करीब आग लग गई. इसराइली मीडिया के मुताबिक ईरान के जवाबी हमलों में इसराइल में 3 अफराद हलाक, 91 जख्मी हुए. इसराइली फौज की खातून पायलट की गिरफ्तारी और 2 F-35 स्टेल्थ तैयारे तबाह करने के ईरानी दावे की तरदीद.
मिसाइल हमलों में 150 इसराइली अहदाफ को कामयाबी से निशाना बनाया. तेल अबीब में वजारत दिफा, सनती और फौजी मराकिज भी बराह रास्त ईरानी हमले का निशाना बने. पासदारान इंकलाब का दावा. सरबराह पासदारान इंकलाब जनरल अहमद वाहिदी ने कहा, ऑपरेशन में इसराइल के अहम फ़ज़ाई अड्डे और सनती मराकिज को निशाना बनाया गया. अहदाफ में सबसे अहम नैवतीम, ओवदा और तलनोफ के फ़ज़ाई अड्डे थे, जहाँ इसराइली फ़ज़ाइया की कमांड और दीगर जंगी मराकिज मौजूद थे. यही अड्डे ईरान पर हालिया हमले का नुक्ता आगाज थे. जनरल वाहिदी ने कहा, इसराइल को समझ आ गया होगा ईरान पूरी कुव्वत से जवाब देने की सलाहियत रखता है। आला ईरानी फौजी हुक्काम का कहना है कि इसराइल के खिलाफ ईरान के हमले जारी रहेंगे। ये तनाज़ा आने वाले दिनों में खित्ते में अमरीकी बेसिस तक फैलेगा।
इसराइल के ईरान पर हमले जारी। तेहरान में 14 मंजिला रिहायशी इमारत पर इसराइली हमले में 20 बच्चों समेत 60 ईरानी शहरी शहीद। कई बच्चों की इमारत के मलबे तले दबे होने की इत्तलात हैं। शमाल मगरिब में तब्रेज़ रिफाइनरी के करीब इसराइली हमले के मकाम पर धुएं के बादल। मगरबी शहर असदाबाद में मिसाइल साइट पर भी इसराइली हमला, 2 अफराद शहीद। इसराइली फजाइया का तेहरान के मेहराबाद एयरपोर्ट पर फजाई हमला, जंजान मिलिट्री बेस को भी निशाना बनाया। हमले का हदफ एयरपोर्ट पर लड़ाका तैयारों का हैंगर था। इसराइल का ईरान की जानिब से दागे गए मुतादिद ड्रोन्स मार गिराने का दावा। इसराइली फौज का कहना है कि ईरान के खिलाफ मजीद हमले आइंदा घंटों में मुतवक्के हैं।
इसराइली वज़ीर आज़म बिन्यामिन नेतन्याहू का ईरान पर हमले जारी रखने का ऐलान। कहा, ईरान की मिसाइल तैयारी की सलाहियत को मुकम्मल तबाह कर देंगे। ईरान के खिलाफ जारी कार्रवाइयों का कोई टाइम फ्रेम नहीं दे सकते। साथ ही कहा, ईरानी रद्द-ए-अमल सख्त हो सकता है, आने वाले दिन मुश्किल हो सकते हैं। इसराइल के आर्मी चीफ यासमीन ने दावा किया है कि इसराइल के लिए ईरान तक रास्ता साफ हो गया। तेहरान में अहदाफ को निशाना बनाना शुरू करेंगे। इसराइल के वज़ीर दिफा इसराइल कार्ट्स ने खबरदार किया है कि अगर ईरान ने इसराइली शहरियों पर मिसाइल हमले जारी रखे तो तेहरान जल जाएगा। शहरी इलाकों पर मिसाइल दागकर ईरान ने सुर्ख लकीर पामाल की, जिसका ख़मियाज़ा भुगतना होगा।
ईरान की मुसल्लह फ़ौज इसराइल को मफलूज करके दम लेंगी। सेहूनी रियासत को अपने जराइम का ख़मियाज़ा भुगतना पड़ेगा। ईरान के सुप्रीम लीडर आयतुल्लाह अली ख़ामेनाई का ईरानी अवाम से खिताब। कहा कि इसराइल को हमले के बाद भागने नहीं देंगे। ईरानी हुकूमत और अवाम फ़ौज के पीछे खड़े हैं। कहा कि इसराइल सज़ा से बच नहीं सकेगा। इसराइली हमलों का जवाब देने में कोई कोताही नहीं बरती गई।
ईरान की जौहरी साइट फूडो को इसराइली हमले में महदूद नुकसान पहुंचने की तस्दीक। तर्जुमान ईरानी एटमी तवानाई एजेंसी का कहना है कि फूडो अफसूदगी मरकज़ के कुछ हिस्सों को मामूली नुकसान पहुंचा है। फूडो अफसूदगी मरकज़ से बड़ी मिकदार में सामान और मवाद पहले ही मुंतकिल कर चुके थे। ईरान का सरहदी इलाके सलमास में जासूसी मिशन पर मौजूद इसराइली ड्रोन्स मार गिराने का दावा। इसराइली हमले में मुसल्लह अफवाज के मजीद 2 डिप्टी कमांडर्स मेजर मेहदी रबानी और मेजर गुलाम रजा मेहराबी की शहादत की तस्दीक। ये वाज़ेह नहीं कि ईरानी डिप्टी कमांडर्स की शहादत कल से अब तक किस इसराइली हमले में हुई।
इसराइल पर जवाबी हमलों के बाद तेहरान में जश्न, लोग सड़कों पर निकल आए। यमन में भी इसराइल पर ईरान के हमलों की स्क्रीनिंग, अवाम का जश्न।
अमरीकी सदर ट्रंप की सऊदी वली अहद मोहम्मद बिन सलमान से फ़ोन पर गुफ्तगू। ईरान इसराइल तनाव ख़त्म करने और बातचीत से मसला हल करने पर इत्तफाक। कतरी अमीर की भी अमरीकी सदर से फ़ोन पर गुफ्तगू। ईरान इसराइल कशीदगी में कमी और सिफारती हल पर तबादला ख्याल। रूसी सदर का ईरानी हम मनसब और इसराइली वज़ीर आज़म से राब्ता। इसराइल ईरान जंग रोकने के लिए सालसी की पेशकश।
अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा के सेक्रेटरी जनरल एंटोनियो गुतेरेस का ईरान इसराइल कशीदगी में कमी पर जोर। कहा कि ईरान इसराइल कशीदगी बहुत बढ़ चुकी है, वक्त आ गया है कि इसे रोका जाए। अमन और सिफारतकारी का बोलबाला होना चाहिए। अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा में चीनी मंदूब ने कहा है कि चीन इसराइल की जानिब से ईरान की खुद मुख्तारी और इलाकाई सालमियत की खिलाफ वर्जियों की मजम्मत करता है। इसराइल फौरी ईरान के खिलाफ कार्रवाइयाँ बंद करे। इस्लामी ताउन तंजीम ने ईरान पर इसराइली हमले की मजम्मत करते हुए कहा कि इसराइल का हमला ईरान की खुद मुख्तारी और बैनुल अक़वामी कानून की खुली खिलाफ वर्जी है। आलमी बिरादरी इस जहरियत के खात्मे के लिए फौरी इक़दाम करे।
ईसा ईसाइयों के रूहानी पेशवा पोप लियो की ईरान और इसराइल से अक्लो दानिश से काम लेने और मुकालमे का रास्ता इख्तियार करने की अपील। सेंट पीटर्स बेसिलिका में खिताब करते हुए कहा कि सूरत हाल पर तशवीश है, किसी को भी दूसरे के वजूद को खतरे में डालने का हक नहीं। तमाम ममालिक की जिम्मेदारी है कि वो अमन के लिए किरदार अदा करें। दुनिया को एटमी खतरे से पाक और ज़्यादा महफूज बनाने का अज़्म बाहमी एहतराम और देरपा अमन की बुनियाद रखने वाले इक़दामात के ज़रिए ही मुमकिन है।
इसराइल ने मुआशी या तवानाई इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पर हमला किया तो फौरी रद्द-ए-अमल देंगे। ईरान ने आलमी बिरादरी पर वाज़े कर दिया। ईरानी वज़ीर ख़ारजा अब्बास इराक़ची का कहना है कि इसराइली हमले का शिकार ईरान से तहम्मुल का मुतालबा गैर मुनसिफाना है। अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा में ईरानी मंदूब ने ईरान पर हमलों को इसराइल की जानिब से रियासती दहशतगर्दी करार दिया। कहा कि ईरान पर हमलों के लिए अमरीका ने इसराइल को इंटेलिजेंस फराहम की। अमरीका इन जराइम में मुआवनत और उसकी इजाज़त देकर नताइज का मुकम्मल जिम्मेदार है।
अमरीका ने खबरदार किया है कि ईरान ने अमरीकी शहरियों, अड्डों या दीगर बुनियादी ढांचे को निशाना बनाया तो इसके संगीन नताइज बरामद होंगे। सलामती काउंसिल में बयान में कहा कि इसराइल का ईरान पर हमला अपने दिफा के लिए ज़रूरी है। ईरान कभी भी जौहरी हथियार हासिल ना कर सके, इसके लिए कोशिशें जारी रखेंगे। ईरानी क़यादत का इस वक्त मुज़ाकरात करना दानिशमंदाना होगा। अमरीका को इसराइली हमलों की इत्तला पहले दे दी गई थी, लेकिन अमरीका हमलों में मुलव्विस नहीं।
इसराइल के साथ जहाँ जहाँ भी इस्लामी दुनिया में ताल्लुकात हैं उनको मुनक़ता होना चाहिए। उनके हाथ खून में, मुसलमानों के खून में रंगे हुए हैं, फ़लस्तीनियों के खून में रंगे हुए हैं। उस हाथ को झटक देना चाहिए, उस हाथ के साथ हाथ नहीं मिलाना चाहिए।
वज़ीर दिफ़ा ख्वाजा आसिफ ने मुस्लिम ममालिक से इसराइल से सिफारती ताल्लुकात ख़त्म करने का मुतालबा कर दिया। कौमी असम्बली से खिताब करते हुए ख्वाजा आसिफ ने कहा है कि मुस्लिम दुनिया में जहाँ जहाँ इसराइल से ताल्लुकात हैं वो मुनक़ता किए जाएँ। इसराइल के हाथ मुसलमानों के खून से रंगे हुए हैं, उससे हाथ मिलाने के बजाय ऐसा हाथ झटक देना चाहिए। इसराइल सिर्फ ईरान नहीं, पूरी मुस्लिम दुनिया को दुश्मन है। इस ऐवान से पैगाम देना चाहते हैं कि पाकिस्तान तेहरान के साथ है, हर फोरम पर ईरान की हिमायत करेंगे।
कौमी असम्बली में इसराइल के ईरान पर हमले की मजम्मत करते हुए PTI के असद कैसर ने कहा, मामले पर OIC इजलास बुलाने के लिए पाकिस्तान किरदार अदा करे। मुस्लिम उम्मा की खामोशी मानी खेज है। हम ईरानी भाइयों के साथ हैं। भारत ने जब पाकिस्तान पर हमला किया तो इसने इसराइल ड्रोन इस्तेमाल किए। इसराइल का दूसरा निशाना पाकिस्तान हो सकता है।
ईरान पर इसराइली हमले के आलमी मंडी में खाम तेल की कीमत में 7% तक इजाफा रिकॉर्ड। ब्रेंट खाम तेल $74.23 फी बैरल की सतह पर पहुंच गया। WTI खाम तेल की कीमत तकरीबन $73 तक जा पहुंची।
साबिक वज़ीर ख़ारिजा और चेयरमैन पीपल्स पार्टी बिलावल भुट्टो जरदारी का भारत को एक बार फिर बातचीत का मशवरा। ब्रसेल्स में गुफ्तगू करते हुए कहा कि पाकिस्तान हमेशा अमन का ख्वाहां है, लेकिन भारत ने हमेशा मुज़ाकरात से इनकार किया। मुज़ाकरात नहीं होंगे तो दिन ब दिन कशीदगी में इजाफा होगा। भारत की जानिब से पानी बंद करने की धमकी पाकिस्तान को इश्तियाल दिलाने की कोशिश है। भारत के साथ जंग बंदी तो हो गई, लेकिन अमन हासिल नहीं हुआ। बिलावल भुट्टो जरदारी का आलमी बरादरी से इसराइल ईरान जंग बंदी के लिए किरदार अदा करने की भी अपील। कहा, दुनिया तीसरी आलमी जंग की मुतहम्मिल नहीं हो सकती।
उस वक्त आर्मी चीफ जनरल बाजवा और उनके दरमियान मशवरे अलहदगी में होते रहे। हमने अभिनंदन को वापस किया और वो एक सरेंडर था, और जो फतह उस वक्त एयरफोर्स ने हासिल की, एब्जेक्ट सरेंडर जो है विदिन 24 आवर्स जो है हमने किया कि आर्मी चीफ और उस वक्त के वजीर आजम ने मिलके कौमी वकार को ठेस पहुंचाई।
वजीर दिफा ख्वाजा आसिफ ने 2019 में गिरफ्तार भारतीय पायलट अभिनंदन को भारत वापस भेजने का फैसला पाकिस्तान का सरेंडर करार दे दिया। कौमी असेंबली में इज़हार ख्याल करते हुए ख्वाजा आसिफ ने कहा है कि अभिनंदन को भारत वापस भेजना पाकिस्तान का सरेंडर था। ये फैसला साबिक आर्मी चीफ जनरल बाजवा ने उस वक्त के वजीर आजम से मिलकर किया था। भारतीय पायलट को 24 घंटे में वापस भेजकर पाक फजाइया की फतह को शिकस्त में बदला गया। अभिनंदन को वापस भेजने के सरेंडर पर उस वक्त भी शर्मिंदा थे, आज भी शर्मिंदा है।
मैंने अपनी पार्टी लीडरशिप, मैंने हमारे नेशनल असेंबली के मेंबरान को आगाह कर दिया है, सेनेटर्स को आगाह कर दिया है। और पाकिस्तान पीपल्स पार्टी के मैं चले बता ही देता हूँ, जो चेयरमैन साहब की तरफ से हिदायत आई है कि अगर ये दुरुस्त नहीं होगा तो हम बजट सपोर्ट नहीं करेंगे। इसके साथ साथ एक और चीज़ भी, इन्होंने 18% टैक्स लगा दिया है सोलर पैनल्स पे। वो भी हमारा पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है कि एक तरफ हम इसको प्रमोट कर रहे हैं कि लोगों को आप बिजली पहुंचा नहीं सकते, ऊपर से आप टैक्स लगा रहे हैं। तो अगर ये नहीं करेगा तो इस वक्त की जो पोजीशन है, पीपल्स पार्टी वफाक में बजट को सपोर्ट नहीं करेगी अगर ये दुरुस्त नहीं करते। आप हमें सिंध को वफाक से नहीं चला सकते, सबने कोशिश कर ली।
विफाक ने तहफ़्फ़ुज़ात दूर ना किए तो पीपल्स पार्टी विफाकी बजट की मंजूरी के लिए वोट नहीं देगी। वज़ीर आला सिंध की वार्निंग। मुराद अली शाह ने पोस्ट बजट न्यूज़ कॉन्फ्रेंस में कहा कि चेयरमैन पीपल्स पार्टी की वाज़ेह हिदायत है कि सिंध के तहफ़्फ़ुज़ात दूर हुए बगैर विफाकी बजट में वोट ना दिया जाए। विफाक से सिंध को चलाने की कोई कोशिश पहले भी कामयाब नहीं हुई है और मौजूदा विफाकी हुकूमत के पास तो वैसे भी कोई इख्तियार नहीं है। विफाकी सिंध के शहरी इलाकों को अपने नौआबादियात समझना छोड़ दे। सिंध विफाकी नौआबादियात नहीं है। सिंध ने कौमी इक़्तिसादी कौंसिल में सालाना प्रोग्राम की मंजूरी 3 शराइत के साथ दी थी।
मुशीर खजाना KP मुज़म्मिल असलम का कहना है कि वफाकी बजट में खैबर पख्तूनख्वा का हिस्सा कम रखा गया है। कबायली अजला के करंट बजट में रवां साल 47 अरब रुपए सूबे ने अपनी जेब से खर्च किए। विफाक से NFC अवार्ड में हमें 90 अरब रुपए कम मिले। फाटा के अखराजात का तखमीना 108 अरब रुपए लगाया गया था, 70 अरब रुपए हमारे लगे। विफाक ने खैबर पख्तूनख्वा को नजरअंदाज किया।
नॉन फाइलर्स की नकद रकम निकालने की हद 50,000 से बढ़ाकर 75,000 रुपए करने का फैसला। सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म्स को इश्तिहारात पर सख्त महसूल का सामना करना पड़ेगा। सबसे ज्यादा कमाने वालों के लिए इनकम टैक्स सरचार्ज में 9% कमी। जंग और डी न्यूज में शाया इसरार खान की रिपोर्ट के मुताबिक माली साल 2025 से 26 के लिए नजरसानी शुदा बजट तजावीज़ के तहत नई हद से ज्यादा रकम निकालने पर 0.8% का ज्यादा एडवांस टैक्स लागू होगा, जो मौजूदा साल के 0.6% से ज्यादा है। कौमी असम्बली की मालियाती कमेटी फैसले की मंजूरी दे चुकी है।
मालियाती बिल 2025-26 में मुजवज़ा तब्दीलियों के तहत सालाना 1 करोड़ रुपए से जायद पेंशन आमदनी को 5% की शरह से टैक्स के दायरे में लाया गया है। जंग और द न्यूज़ में शाया मेहताब हैदर की रिपोर्ट के मुताबिक FBR ने ऐसी तब्दीलियों की तजवीज़ दी है जिसके बाद एक वक्त की अदायगी अमली तौर पर तमाम सूरतों में टैक्स के ताबे हो जाएगी। सेनेट की क़ायमा कमेटी बराए ख़जाना के इजलास में वज़ीर ख़जाना मोहम्मद औरंगज़ेब की ब्यूरोक्रेट्स की रिटायरमेंट की उम्र 62 साल करने की हिमायत। गैर मालियाती पेंशन वाजिबात की रफ्तार को सुपरसोनिक करार दिया।
मुल्क की मईशत से डिफॉल्ट का खतरा तो टल गया, मगर क्या मईशत दुरुस्त राह पर चल पड़ी? नए वफाकी बजट में अवाम को कितना रिलीफ दिया गया? मुल्क के बड़े कारोबारी अफराद क्या सोचते हैं? जानिए। जियो न्यूज़ की खुसूसी ट्रांसमिशन कर डालो आखिरी मौका में इतवार की शाम 4 बजे।
वज़ीर ख़ारजा इसहाक़ डार का इसराइल की जानिब से गज़ा में इंसानी हुकूक़ की खिलाफ वर्जियों पर गहरी तशवीश का इजहार। फ़लस्तीनियों को इमदाद की फरहमी से मुतालिक इजलास की सदारत करते हुए वज़ीर ख़ारजा इसहाक़ डार ने कहा कि पाकिस्तान फ़लस्तीनियों की सियासी, सिफारती और इखलाक़ी हिमायत जारी रखेगा। इजलास में फ़लस्तीनी अवाम के लिए इंसानी इमदाद की फरहमी को बढ़ाने के साथ फ़लस्तीनी तलबा को तालीम की फरहमी में मदद का भी जायज़ा लिया गया।
मुल्क भर के 47 माहौलियाती नमूनों में पोलियो वायरस की तस्दीक। पोलियो वायरस 34 अजला के माहौलियाती नमूनों में पाया गया। इंसदाद पोलियो प्रोग्राम के मुताबिक सिंध के 14 अजला, खैबर पख्तूनख्वा के 8, बलूचिस्तान के 6, पंजाब के 4 और गिलगित बल्तिस्तान के 1 जिला में पोलियो वायरस पाया गया। इस्लामाबाद के माहौलियाती नमूने में भी पोलियो वायरस पाया गया। वालिदैन बच्चों को बार बार पोलियो के कतरे जरूर पिलाएं।
कराची में मलीर, शाह फैसल कॉलोनी, कायदाबाद, गुलजार